Dog Films presents Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis.
Hello, it's Charles Dennis. It's New Year's Eve, and it's Paid to Dream. And who better to dream with than my dear friend Michael Swan? There he is.
Hey, Charles.
We actually had a dress rehearsal yesterday, and now we're doing it again, so we can see us. Show me, yes, hands. Hands up, everyone. There's Michael. He's not holding the phone.
I don't have to hold the phone and shake like an old man.
Yeah, and I'm going to right in here insert that famous picture of us from many years ago where we're laughing ourselves silly. I believe that actually was a day I just gone to see you do Taming the Shrew, and we went to somebody's house in Topanga Canyon, and that's where the picture was taken, and that's where I met Bob.
No, that photo was at Lion's Head. That photo is in your office at Lion's Head.
Really?
Yeah, take a look at the wall.
Wow.
Take a look at the...
I will.
I think it was the beginning of an evening of... Remember when we used to do all of those... what do you call it? Where you guess the...
Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial Pursuit. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to waste the audience's time arguing until we can actually figure this out. But also we're going to insert right here because I brought up Topanga Canyon, and I found, thank goodness, you've got so many wonderful photos on your Facebook page. I found a picture of you in the headdress as Petruchio.
Oh no!
So we're going to put that in there. But first, we're going to talk about how you came south to Los Angeles the first time.
Well, as we discussed, I was doing the Fantastics in Northern California with a wonderful actress who I'm, the absolute leading man cliche. I always fall in love with my leading lady. And so I did. I happened to fall in love with her doing the Fantastics, and which at one time, as we have discussed, included the great song Ray, and no longer includes that because of, as you call them, the correctors. And so we moved south together to kind of see if we could get something going in professional showbiz. I was looking at television, and she was looking at television, and she actually ended up being part of Robert Goulet's act, and spent quite a bit of time in Vegas with him. And so because of my background in the wine business, I had a kind of a built-in job. My Uncle Joe, Joseph Swan Vineyards, wrote me a letter of recommendation about my palate and my knowledge of wine and everything to the major wine store in Los Angeles, Wally's Liquors. And I became his first wine consultant. This is back in 1973.
Wow.
And yeah. And he and I worked hand in hand together building that business. And about a year into it, we got in each other's face. And I had certain ideas, and he was the owner. And we kind of got into it, and he just said, "You're fired." And so I had to find a quick job. So I found a job. This is a classic. I parked cars at one of Sinatra's favorite restaurants in L.A. at the time, Ponza's Lazy Susan. And
where was that?
The corner of La Brea and Fountain. And
wow.
Yeah, which is now a clinic. One of those you can go in anytime, 24-hour-a-day clinics. But one time was a famous restaurant called Ponza's Lazy Susan. And it had, I used to park Lily Tomlin's beautiful little T-Bird. Sinatra drove in with his entourage a few times. I never got close to him because there were all these huge guys around him. And but one of the regulars was the great Broderick Crawford. You remember Highway Patrol, and who won the Oscar? Oh God, what was that? Anyway, anyway, he used to come in there every night with his girlfriend, who was Kay Starr. And so when you went into Ponz's Lazy Susan from the parking lot, you went in through the kitchen, and there was a stoop. You had to take a step up to go into the kitchen and then into the restaurant. And he would come out pretty oiled up every night, and Kay would be driving, and one night he came out and he missed the stoop, flat on his face. And so me and the chef, who was right there in the kitchen, helped get him up, picked him up, got him into Kay's car, and he said, thank you very much, and pulled out a $100 bill and handed it to me. And that's my... The other famous guy that used to go in there was the famous manager who named Rock Hudson and...
Henry Wilson.
That's right, Chad Everett, Henry Wilson. Yes, but that's why I love doing these things with you, because you're steel trap mind.
He came up with Rock Hudson, Tab Hunter.
Tab, that's right. Chad Everett.
Guy Madison was another one.
Was really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he came up with all
the great first name.
I think he was actually Robert Wagner's first agent, and was the only person who kept his real name.
That's probably
Robert Wagner. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so that's my...
So Henry Wilson.
Yeah. And all kinds of people would come into Ponce's. It was a very, like I say, it was one of Sinatra's favorite spots, and I got to see him walk past me one night with into the restaurant, surrounded by several large guys. So
all named Guido.
That's right. Or as Don Rickles used to say, "Goomba mama goom mama." That would crack Sinatra up when he would do that. But then I started, fortunately, that's when I got signed to MGM Television and started doing the recurring roles that I had on Medical Center with Chad Everett. And I did another show called Bronk with Jack Palance.
Yeah.
The first day on the set of Bronk, I'm playing Jack Palance's sidekick. I'm a young detective, Sergeant Veneman, and I see him on the set on the first day, and I walk up, and he has his back to me, and I notice that there's schmutz on the back of his jacket. And so I just casually kind of wiped the schmutz off the back of his jacket, so I was kind of slapping his ass. And he turned and looked at me with those little pig eyes and said, "Can I help you?" And I was totally terrified. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brown. I'm sorry. I just noticed that there was dirt on the back of your jacket." And he went, "Okay." But after that, we became friends, and that was my beginning at MGM Television back in the early days.
So were you a contract player?
Well, no, it was a deal that I had with casting, that I would do so many episodes of these recurring roles. So there was no contract player at MGM. Contract players were all gone by then.
No, Universal was the last.
The last one, yeah, and
same time, early 70s.
That's right. Well, it didn't end until after I finished doing the series with Susan Anton in 1980. Cliffhangers stopped Susan Williams.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny. My friend Ken Schreiner, who was on General Hospital for many years, played Scotty. We always go back and forth because he was a Universal contract player. And so I always tease him and I say, hey, I was like a contract player at Universal too, because I did all the shows at Universal. Well, almost all the shows. And so he said, I thought you said you were a contract player. I said, no, I was like a contract player at Universal because I did so many of those shows.
Thank you for Ken Schreiner. I love Ken Schreiner. He came into my life through Malcolm Denar, and I have to have him on the show because he's
Oh, yeah.
he's got great stories. Great stories.
He does have great stories.
Speaking of Universal,
a super
Rock Hudson.
Rock. Okay. So one of my early gigs from the same casting director at MGM got me. We talked about this. You remember Alex Haley, the novelist, wrote a thing called Wheels, and they made a mini series out of it, which we used to call a mini series, which is now called streaming a limited series. And so it was Wheels, and I had scenes with Rock and Bob Hastings. Oh, and I didn't mention this before, but Bob's brother was Don Hastings. Don was probably the longest running leading man ever on As the World Turns. I'm sure he was in that role for Dr. Bob for probably 40 years. And he was a great guy. And one of my claims, small claims to fame, is I'm probably the only actor that worked with both Bob and his brother Don. So anyway, Bob and I are doing Wheels with Rock Hudson. And back in those days when you were on location, we were out at the Ontario Speedway. Back in those days when you were on location, the stars had not trailers in those days. It wasn't Star Wagons. The stars had motorhomes. Old, beautiful, classic executive motorhomes made by the Executive Motorhome Company. This is back in the mid-'70s. And they were beautiful old coaches, and it sparked my interest in motorhomes from then on forever. And so Rock, through his people, said, Rock would like you to come into the motorhome and run your lines, you and Bob, that we have in the car. So Bob and I went to Rock's motorhome, went inside and sat around the little dinette and did our lines that we had in the car. It was probably a 3-page scene. And when we were done, Rock said, thanks, guys. That was great. Thank you very much. And we started heading out of the motorhome, and Bob went out first. And before I could go through the door, Rock stopped me and he said, hey, listen, how would you like to come back to the studio with me in the motorhome? And I just kind of tried not to look like I was demurring, but said, thanks, Rock. I think I better go back with Bob, so that the assistant directors don't get, all confused or anything. And by that time, Rock's proclivities were well known. And I was a little 25-year-old actor, a little nervous. So I passed. But we did several other scenes together, and he turned out to be the greatest guy. He was truly a man's man, the most heterosexual, homosexual you'd ever want to meet.
Oh, yeah. I went, Susan Clark, he gave her a bridal shower at his home.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they had done a film together, and they were quite close. And I went to this bridal shower. Not bridal, a baby shower.
Baby shower, right.
She and Alex Harris were having a baby.
And he lived threw a baby shower for him. That's interesting.
And they lived in Truesdale. And I remember going to the house, and there was a big wall and a door.
Rock lived in Truesdale. Yeah, because Alex and
locked it.
Lived on Woodrow Wilson. Yeah.
No, they lived on Woodrow Wilson. So I remember knocking at the door, thinking that the door will open to this house because the wall. I just thought the wall was part of the house. The door buzzed. I walked in, and it was an enormous courtyard, like a hacienda.
Right.
And way, way, way at the other end of the courtyard was this tiny figure standing in the doorway. And I walked and walked. And as I walked, the tiny figure got bigger and bigger until there I was staring up at Rock Hudson,
Rock
who
Hudson, yeah.
was enormous. And everything inside that house was so masculine.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
And I remember, and his taste was, he had gone to Europe and ranted. There were angels in the corners everywhere from monasteries, whatever. And there was one chair, and Alex Karras, who was not a shrimp, sat in that chair. And his feet did not touch the ground. This was Rock's chair.
God. That's funny. Oh yeah. Well, remember,
Rock, he was the host. He took us into the dining room. There was this buffet. He said, "Please help yourself," and then he vanished, and we never saw him again. The rest.
Well,
of the
that's
party.
he did his bit. He, like I said, and you were saying, he's the most masculine homosexual you'd ever want to meet. But Alex, I remember. You remember we met. You had Susan and Alex up to the house, and I reminded them that I had done Babe as a smaller. I played a photographer when they met, and the sparks flew. And I remember Alex saying to me once at your house, he said, "Well, how have you enjoyed being an actor?" And I said, "Well, it's an interesting journey, and I'm enjoying it." And he said, "Journey? Don't you want to be a star?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. But meanwhile, I'm enjoying the journey." And anyway, Alex and I kind of hit it off, and then a couple more parties at your house with them. And I remember the last one, she was very pregnant. And pretty much thereafter that last party, can't remember the year, she had the baby, yeah. And I remember their house on Woodrow Wilson was not too far from Lion's Head.
Right. And they lived across the road from Sally Kellerman, who would often appear pressed against the front window, naked.
Yes, sure. I used to go.
And then I think Cassavetes lived next door. No, Frank Zappa lived nearby.
Frank Zappa.
There's always music coming out of there. But Cassavetes must have lived on the other side. That was quite the stretch.
It was, and my MGM casting director, who kickstarted my career, also lived on Woodrow Wilson, between Lion's Head and that little enclave. And Kellerman, I would. This happened more than once. Turn onto Woodrow Wilson from Mulholland, and she would be in her front garden, stark naked. Yep. Yeah.
Interesting woman.
Yeah, that was quite the road back in those days. I'm sure it still is, but
you left Hollywood somewhere in the 80s to go to New York with your new buff body, and started As World Turns.
That was 1986.
I found a picture of you with Tamara Tunie.
Oh, marvelous. Okay, so I'm not seeing what you're inserting here in these.
No, you won't. Haven't. That's what Hazel does.
I see. Okay, cool.
That's all that's for us. But you were the first biracial couple to have a child.
Well, we had the first. As we've discussed, Peter Bergman was a friend of mine. We share a birthday. He's several years younger. Bless his heart. Who's still working on The Young and the Restless. I think he's been there for 40 years. But a great guy. And he was well known back in those days for the commercial. I'm not a real doctor, but I play one on TV. And over the years, I've always teased him and saying, "I'm not a real actor, but I play one on TV." So, he had an interracial relationship on All My Children. And it didn't work out so well for who knows why. I mean, they may have succumbed to the pressure. I mean, Tamara and I got so many hate letters, all from the South, of course.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, I took a couple of those letters threatening to murder me down to City Hall and actually got a license to carry in New York. But yes, Tamara and I had a successful, because of Douglas Marland, our great head writer, who created my character and hers, who was actually one of the creators of the whole genre, Douglas Marland. And we did have the first biracial baby born on network television. The characters did. We didn't.
No. Are you still in touch with her at all?
No, I've tried to be in touch with her. I've responded to her. She's putting stuff on about her new soap, Beyond the Gates.
Right.
She puts stuff up, and I've commented here and there, but no, I don't. I haven't heard from her, but that's okay. People move on in their lives, and.
Well, I invented this term called upwardly mobile amnesia, so who knows?
Well,
I hope she's just too busy, and it's
that's
not that.
That's probably true. Yeah. I met De Niro at a party once, and De Niro was interested in her. He had a penchant for.
Yes, she was the right flavor.
Correct. So she threw a party for her on-screen sister, and I went there, and I met De Niro. He was completely circumspect. There was no hi, how you doing? Hi, nice to meet you, or anything. It was mostly
yeah,
and that was about it. Yeah. And I had just purchased a Porsche Carrera 4, which I found a parking place right in front of this apartment where Tamara was having this party. And as the party ended and I walked out, I saw him and one of his buddies ogling, looking into the interior of my Porsche. And as I walked by, I said, "Want to buy it?" No response. So, yeah, that was pretty much the end of my primetime career, because I was on that show, Equal Turns, for 12 years. But I had a lot of fun doing.
And I mean, you're Mr. Long Run. I mean, I didn't realize until yesterday that you had done Taming the Shrew in Topanga Canyon for 7 years.
That's right, 7 seasons.
And so the famous picture of you coming in on the horse in your underwear with the headdress, was that every year, or did you have a different?
The horse only lasted a couple of years. And this was an embarrassing story. So my father came to see, I think it was the 2nd season of us doing Shrew. And, it was, Ellie Ellengier had created this thing of where everything was completely out of time. I mean, we had old cars and people dressed in modern costume, and then people dressed in Shakespearean costume. And my father was in the cavalry when it was dismounted in 1942. And there's another story about Harry Morgan. So I do my seductions, the first seduction scene with Kate, played by Kate Gear, another Ellen's sister, Will's daughter. And at the end of it, "We will be married a Sunday." I leap onto the back of the horse, the old cowboy thing where you put your hands down on the haunch of the horse and you're in the saddle. My father was a champion horse rider because he was in the cavalry. And I do my leap onto the back of the horse. The horse takes off a little bit before I do, and get about maybe 20 yards, and I'm off the horse. And,
God!
really crashed badly on my left hip, but was able to get up and brush myself off, and the show must go on. And, but it was embarrassing that that happened in front of my father, the cavalryman.
Yeah.
But he had a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We're somewhere. It's probably New Year's in England now.
Oh.
I'm so grateful to you. I know I go on and on, but Nelson Chadwick is one of my favorite creations in first of all, the series, TV series. And then we took a lot of the material and did Barking Mad.
Right.
And you know, we're going to show some different clips here of how you and your estranged, your ex-wife. That's right. You
Played by
reached a point
Rochelle.
in your life after the divorce. You just couldn't find any women to date, and so you just shifted. Not that you were homosexual, but you just were lonely, as you say. And we have some clips that we're going to dot through this.
Okay.
This
How can you be so calm, Nelson? You know they're going to kill us.
Don't be ridiculous. And don't patronize me. Fury.
Don't call me Fury. He calls me Adele.
Who?
And he thinks it's a lovely name, and you never said that.
I had an aunt, Adele. She was horrendous. I couldn't stand her.
Is that why you call me Fury?
No, I call you Fury because you assaulted me in a public place.
Yeah, after you made a pass at the waitress at the IHOP.
All I did was ask her name.
Yeah, after we'd had sex the night before. How insensitive can you be?
Service people like to have their names acknowledged.
Oh.
That's why they wear tags.
We are going to be hacked to pieces by Mexicans, and you have become the champion of the underdog.
They're Cubans.
Oh, pardon me, Professor. Rice and beans is rice and beans.
Great. Okay.
It was just wonderful, and you and Rochelle, the chemistry.
Well,
You're saying to me, I don't have to kiss him, do I? Well, she certainly did kiss you. I mean, it wasn't anything that looked, from a 1950s TV show.
it wasn't a stage kiss. No, it was a real
No,
kiss.
it wasn't.
And she was a good sport.
In her pantry.
Yes, in her pantry. We should mention her husband, who allowed this.
Yes, who was the first guest on here, Ed Begley Jr.
Ed Begley
Who I
Jr.
don't even know. Do you need to still be junior if your father's been gone for 50 years?
Well,
dear man.
in honor of his father, yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's like Douglas Fairbanks Jr.
Who I have a Fairbanks Jr. story too.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
please.
Well, it's very brief, but so my dad and his second wife had a beautiful condo in Kahala on Oahu, just south of Waikiki, and there was a grand opening. Below them was a shopping center, and one of the famous department stores had a grand opening, and there were lots of people there from all over the island, and one of them was Douglas Fairbanks Jr., who also happened to live in the islands at the time. And they were pouring, believe it or not, French 75s. You know what that is? A French 70.
No.
Okay, so basically it's brandy, champagne. And, 2 or 3 of those and you're... But I had a nice conversation with Douglas Fairbanks Jr. over a couple of French 75s in the parking lot below my parents, my dad and his wife's beautiful condo in Kahala. That's my Douglas Fairbanks Jr. story.
Well, about 20 years ago, I guess, I was living in New York, and I was having lunch with Chris Plummer at the St. Regis, and I arrived at the dining room, and I said to it wasn't the maitre d', it was just a waiter, I guess, and I said, I'm meeting Christopher Plummer. Yes, follow me. And we wind through there, we arrive at this table where this 900-year-old man is seated, and he's staring at me, trying to think, do I know you? And I said, this, and I realized, oh my God, it's Douglas Fairbanks.
Oh my God.
He just, the skin was coming off it all.
Oh,
And I said,
geez.
this is not Mr. Plummer. Oh. And
Well,
he
he
looked relieved, Douglas Fairbanks, that he didn't have to deal with me.
didn't have,
And
I'm
when the
sure.
maitre d' arrived and said, what's going on? I said, Christopher Plummer. Oh, sorry, Mr.
Oh,
Fairbanks. And he whisks me across the room. And he said, what have you done now, Charlie? I said, he thought Douglas Fairbanks was you. Oh, my God. No, I'm not that bad.
I've told you the Chris Plummer story, right?
When you were shooting in Catalina?
Yes, exactly. You have such a great, you and Kate Orsini. I don't know which one is better, but she really does have a photographic memory. She can remember stuff as it happened from 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and you're
That's someone else I should have on the show.
You're
Yes.
pretty damn close. Yes, the fabulous Kate Orsini. But so yeah, we did that. It was called Desperate Voyage, and I was playing it was a small role. I had several lines, but I introduced myself, and we did it all on boats. We never were on solid land except to go to the hotel, and I was playing a. What do you call it? The Coast Guard, a Coast Guard captain. And so anyway, I introduced myself to him between takes and blah, blah, blah. And years later, me and our dear friend, rest his soul, Robert Furo, went up to San Francisco to see him do his one-man show of Barrymore.
Oh, yeah.
And there were lots of jokes in that show. It's a one-man show that were about alcoholics and alcoholism, and there were great jokes. And me and Firo are sitting there laughing our asses off, and the rest of the audience is kind of looking at us like, who are these guys? Because we got all the alcoholic jokes.
Yeah, they didn't belong to that fraternity.
No, they did not. They were very sophisticated San Francisco audience. And so, but I went backstage afterwards, and he came out and met us, and I reminded him that we had met, many years earlier on the set of Desperate Voyage, and he was gracious enough to acknowledge that might have happened.
Well, this did happen on New Year's Eve today.
Okay.
And I'm going to go out with yet another clip of you and Rochelle from Barking Man, because I just love that sequence in the pantry.
Wow, sell-by date on this is from the last century.
Did you hear what I just said?
Which, the racist remark or the slur against educators?
I'm just referring to the simple fact that if you had just given me my support check on time, I wouldn't have had to show up at your goddamn liquor store and been abducted by the Central American psychos.
The Caribbean islands, of which Cuba is the largest, belongs to North America.
I am just trying to be politically correct out of respect of your newfound sensitivity.
The condemned man ate a hearty apology.
Stop! Stop it! Stop it! I can't take it anymore!
Okay, why are you crying? It's okay. What's the matter? Why are you crying? It's okay. No, you're not gonna die. You're not gonna die. No. It's okay. You're not gonna die. It's all right.
We've been down here forever.
We're gonna get out of here.
What is that? Is that an erection?
Apparently.
How can you have a boner in a tie like this?
He's got a mind of his own.
All right, just kiss me then.
Oh, you're not gay. You son of a bitch. What were you doing with that boy?
I was lonely.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Hey, pal. See, I told you not to worry. Am I intruding?
It was
But
fun
in
to
the
do.
meantime, enjoy it, everyone. Enjoy your new year, Michael. And if you enjoyed Pay to Dream,
Cheers.
folks, please click like, subscribe, whatever you have to do, because there are going to be many, many more guests in 2026.
I'll come back and
Bye-bye.
tell you the Earl Holliman story.
Absolutely. Hold on.